Let's give it a shot. All right, good morning, traders. Today is November 5th, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I am the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for being here with me today. I'm going to tell you, I apologize for missing out on about a week of videos back there. I was on vacation, so couldn't make any videos in the past week. So we're back up and going right now. So it's good. It's real good. All right. I want to thank everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. All right. Thank you for following my content, liking my content, subscribing to my content. Special shout out for everybody that shares my content. That goes out to John Jordan, Bob Jordan, Kathy, Sarah Roasted. Thank you so much for sharing the content. I appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and again, I want to thank my paying subscribers one more time. Thank you so much for being a part of the BYOB family. Thank you. All right, let's take a look at what happened yesterday. See if we can extrapolate anything good that could happen today. See how we can make some profits. All right. Today's November 5th, 2025. Good morning. My SPY pivot this morning is 677. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. FNGU, SPY made. I think everybody made lower lows and lower highs, okay, on the Fab 5. Made lower lows and lower highs, closing under bearish crosses underneath 17 EMAs. Diamond down, same thing. Lower high, lower low, closing underneath a bearish cross, but over the 17 EMA. QQQ, lower high, lower low, closing under a bullish trap, but over the 17 EMA. IWM, no different from the other four. Made a lower high and a lower low, closing below a bearish trap and under the 17 EMA. SPY and QQQ both closed with 2-hour downtrends. SPY closed with a 10-minute bearish consolidation. QQQ closed with a 10-minute downtrend on the 10-minute chart coming into the close yesterday. Gold and silver made, just like the Fab 5, lower highs, lower lows, closing under bearish traps and under the 17 EMAs. USO in an uptrend. That's a new uptrend for USO. Made a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bullish trap, but over the 17 EMA. USO in that uptrend. Just going to say, ever since it made the uptrend, it's not moving up. It's really just kind of moving over to the right. UNG in an uptrend too, all right? And UNG made a higher low and a higher high. So something different right there. Got a higher low and a higher high. Bucking the trend for everybody else. Closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. US dollar index remains in an uptrend, but it's still in that bear flag. Closed near the 100.222 area. SPY max paying for today, 683 with a put to call ratio of about 1 3/4, 1 2/3 puts for each call that expires today at 4:15. Remember, those index options expire at 4:15 while the security options expire at 4. If this is your first time seeing this, these underneath the bulls are all in daily uptrends over the 17 EMA, okay? Bullish daily uptrends over the 17 EMA. All of these, bearish daily downtrends under the 17 EMA, okay? If they got a little star next to them under the bulls, okay, then they're producing or constructing a launch pad, or otherwise known as a bull flag, okay, from which to launch higher, okay? So I keep an eye on those because they've put in a couple days or 2 or 3 days, and they could launch higher from that bull flag that they've created. All right, so these are in bull flags, creating launch pads from which to launch higher. Doesn't mean they're gonna launch higher, okay? It means they're just constructing the launch pad. All right, so it's no guarantee that it's gonna go up, but they're holding the higher ground which, you know, if you listen to me before, that's a big deal. Okay, whenever I see price hold the higher ground, okay, that means it has much potential to go higher. Okay, now all of these over here, they got a little star next to them. They're creating a bear flag, or I call it a platform, from which to dip lower. Okay, so they're in bear flags, and they're holding the lower ground. All right, so they're stuck on the lows, and they're kind of waiting for that catalyst to make them dip lower. No guarantees that they will dip lower. I'm just saying they're creating that platform, and they're in that bear flag where they're just holding that lower ground area. They very well could round out the bottom and then wind up moving back up. That's a possibility. It always is. All right, let's go take a look at some charts now that I've explained kind of the bulls and the bears, so you can kind of take advantage of some of the bullish stuff. Now, note, Intel was on here. Now, Intel got knocked off due to, let's see, Intel. Okay, Intel got knocked off on the daily chart. You can see Intel. See, now Intel was on there. See how that nice bullish uptrend. That's a nice ride. 22, 42. That's a nice ride. Anyways, okay, you can see we closed below the 17 EMA. Now, that may be an exhaustion candle. I don't know. If they recover this, okay, it's a possibility I can put them right back on if they get back up over the 17 EMA. We'll see, all right? The day is young, and I'm not seeing any sign of a turnaround yet. All right, so there's Intel right there. Putting in, I'm going to call it an exhaustion candle, because if they close there, that would be the biggest red candle right into support. All right, so there's a possibility that they flip it around, you know, maybe about 2:30, start working it back up over that 17 EMA. We'll see. All right, day's still young, so we'll see what happens. All right, let's go take a look at SPY. And let's take a look at the 10-minute chart. And I got the drawing tools. This is great. Okay, now you can see price comes from this high right here. And let's pick a different color. Let's thicken it up. Okay, so price comes from this high and moves down here. And then basically, okay, no uptrend, no downtrend. You know, we're over the 8 here, we're under the 8, we're over the 8, and you can see in the close we're under the 8. So basically it's to the right, okay? So that's a bear flag. So we left off with, from my synopsis of, or my summary of yesterday's performance, a bear flag, bearish consolidation. That's what I'm going to call it. 10-minute bearish consolidation. Right here, 10-minute chart, you can see right up top there, we're on the 10-minute chart, okay? So a move down and over to the right. Okay, now it's important. Now, in the overnight action, they came down, put in big exhaustion candle right into 670. All right, which is support. If we look over to the left, there's some support right at 670.12, 670.20 in that area. So they came in there, put an exhaustion candle right into that, and they're bouncing now. So this is what you're seeing here in the pre-market. Is the bounce off of that 670 area right there, because they came into it kind of hard and fast. Because when they do come in hard and fast, you get that red rubber school ball bounce. But if they melt into it, they can melt right through it and keep going. All right, so there's SPY on the 10-minute. We got bearish 10-minute consolidation. All right, let's take a look at 2-hour chart. All right, 2-hour chart, we can see that the price candles and the yellow 3 EMA are underneath the 8 EMA, so we have ourselves a 2-hour downtrend again. Okay, so we had some here, then we got up over it just for a day, half a day, and now we're back under it again. Okay, so got that 2-hour downtrend. No sign of exhaustion yet on the 2-hour chart. Okay, just make a note of that. Okay, so we may be going lower again today. We'll see. All right, so there's SPY on the 2-hour chart. That's in a 2-hour downtrend. On the daily chart, All right, we haven't made any lower lows below the 17. This would be the first one right here. Take that off, get the little arrow. Okay, so this right here, this candle, okay, if we break that low, that puts us in it's a label in a downtrend. All right, you can see right here we're closing under the 17 EMA right there on that candle from yesterday. If we make this, that puts us in a downtrend because that'll put us into a lower low than this low right here, and then therefore we now have a downtrend happening. Right now we're in an uptrend still because we haven't broken anything yet. Okay, we're just not moving up. Okay, we're moving over to the right and down. So we're kind of melting off. Currently just melting off. Over to the right and down, right there. Okay, so that's where we are on SPY daily chart. Okay, and if we zoom way out, here we go. Got to keep going back, all right? You can see, look at all the green dots, okay? Obviously, that's an uptrend right there. So we are in the top. This is from the low all the way up to the all-time high. Okay, so up here, this is top of quadrant 4. That's bullish up there, okay? And still in an uptrend because nothing's been broken yet. So we're still bullish and in an uptrend on the daily chart. Same thing on the weekly. Okay, top of quadrant 4, bullish, still in an uptrend. Same thing on the monthly. Okay, right there. Okay, so we're still bullish on the daily, the weekly, and the monthly. The bigger time frames are still ruling, all right? Because if we had something where like, I don't know if I want to go long, I don't want to go short. You look at the bigger time frame, we're still bullish, all right? So I like to find those 10-minute uptrends. Those are the ones I like to trade, all right? Currently in the pre-market, let's see what we got. On the 10-minute chart, got ourselves a little 10-minute uptrend. This is VWAP, this brown line right here. You can see they're trying to break away from VWAP, but they're still stuck like glue on VWAP. So no clear sign that bulls are in charge. Really looks like, for me right now, it just looks like a pullback from that exhaustion candle to the downside. So no clear sign. Got to see some higher highs, okay? On the 15-minute chart, let's go. We want to take out this high right here, or the 30-minute chart. We got to take out that high, okay? We're still a long ways away from it. And where is that high, by the way? Let's get the crosshairs out. You can see that high is all the way up there. Let's just call it 680, okay? So we're still $5.50 away from, at a bare minimum, making a higher high, all right? So got, still quite a bit of work to do, okay? If we look at this, just not knowing what the futures did, and we just take what we got right here. Right now, looks like we've got a double bottom right there in the pre-market, post-market. We'll see what happens, okay? Again, got to take out that high right there, 680. We got to get up over 680. And, of course, we got this downtrend line we are also dealing with, okay, right here. So you can see that's kind of in the same vicinity, 680, 683. SPY price range for today is from, the ceiling is 683 up here. And that puts us basically a gap fill. That's a bearish gap down yesterday. Notice the bulls did not have any mustard or enough red meat or enough iron and spinach to fill the gap. I mean, they let the bears take control. All right, so bulls still showing some weakness. Got a double bottom, but it doesn't mean that's the end. There still could be more to come. We'll see. All right, so there's SPY. So that's the ceiling up there, according to AI, and the floor is represented at between the VIX and the 14-day average move, average true range. That's a 14-day. They got it down here at 668. So That's the range for today. And bear in mind, last night we were down here in the futures chart right around 670.12, 670.20, where we put in a downside exhaustion candle. And now you're seeing what you're getting right now is the bounce right now. Okay, so there's SPY. All right, let's take a look at QQQ. QQQ did about the same thing yesterday as well. Let's take a look at QQQ. We'll go back to this chart right here. We'll hit the 10-minute. So you can see there's our 10-minute. QQQ had a 10-minute downtrend. All right, almost from the open right up here all the way to the end of the day, if you look at that. Okay, so 10-minute downtrend. QQQ was the chart to play yesterday. I was stuck in the SPY. I should have checked this out because this is one beautiful trend to the downside. That right there is money. All right, you got price underneath VWAP. All right, I like that 10-minute downtrend underneath VWAP right there. Didn't go, went pretty far, I guess. Let's see, 627 down to 618, $10 move. All right, right there. Again, we had on the 10-minute chart, I go by candles. All right, if I see 6 or more than 6 candles hold the higher ground, it's my opinion price is committed to going higher. If they can't hold more than 6, and you can see we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then on the 7th one, you see they're giving it up here. Okay, and there was that's price action giving it up on the 7th candle right there, and you can see that commences our 10-minute downtrend all the way into the close, closing the day at the end of the day at the low of the day. Okay, so 10-minute downtrend into the close yesterday. 2-hour chart. Again, price candles in the 3 EMA, that's the yellow line. Underneath the 8 and the 17, 2-hour downtrend right there on QQQ. All right, we'll see what happens. Got a little anchored VWAP. Maybe they're coming into that. We'll see. 2-hour downtrend coming into the close. On the daily chart, okay, lower high, lower low, closing under, well, I can still see a little daylight right there. Okay, you got to squint to see it, but it's right there. Closing underneath a bullish trap, but over the rising, see the green dots? That's the 17 EMA right there. So there's QQQ. Still closing underneath the bullish trap, still up at the top of quadrant 4. All right, that's bullish up there. We still haven't broken anything. Again, they would have to see this poke below the 17. They'd have to take out that low in order to negate the uptrend that they're in and create a downtrend. So currently they're in an uptrend and they're not moving up. They're just kind of moving over to the right. Okay, see that? Over to the right and down. So they're in a pullback in a daily uptrend. All right, weekly chart, same thing like SPY, green dots, bullish, still in an uptrend. Monthly chart, still bullish, still in an uptrend. So you can see on both QQQ and SPY, on the daily time frame, the bigger time frames, okay, not the 2-hour, the daily bigger time frames are still in uptrends, okay? So whenever we go short, we are playing or trading counter trend. And I'm going to say, be careful, all right? Bulls could step in at any minute, could get a tweet, could get some news. We'll see what happens, all right? Or an exhaustion candle, all right, which we got in the futures last night. We'll see what happens. Again, it's mandatory that they make higher highs in order to turn the boat around. Without making higher highs, I think the boat continues to sail in the same direction. All right, let's take a look at IWM. And let's get off the monthly chart back to the daily. Let's see what we got here. Okay, now you can see IWM yesterday. Now when I did it, yeah, I can still see daylight right there. So you can see they're still in an uptrend, but if they break this low right there, they'll be in a downtrend. They break that low, they'll be in a downtrend. They made a lower high and a lower low, just like, you know, everybody in the Fab Five. All right. And it closed underneath a bearish trap and underneath a flat 17 EMA. They're still in an uptrend. They're in a pullback in a bullish uptrend. Up here in quadrant 4, again, middle of quadrant 4, that's bullish And you can have a downtrend and still be in the quadrant 4. All right, so here's IWM. They're still bullish. Here's the April low up to the all-time high. Showing a double top. Still in the middle of quadrant 4, so that's still bullish. Just because they made a double top doesn't mean it's game over yet. All right, we haven't broken anything, but things are starting to add up. All right, we got a top, but we're still in an uptrend, and we're just pennies away from taking out that low to create the downtrend. Okay, things are starting to add up. Clues are coming together. So there's IWM on the daily chart, still bullish, still in an uptrend, but in a pullback in that uptrend. Okay, so there's the daily chart. Again, on the weekly and the monthly, both of the IWM both in uptrends, okay, and bullish and in uptrends on weekly and monthly. All right, back to the daily chart. Let's visit Diamond Dow. Here's Diamond Dow, lower high, lower low. No surprise there, right? Closing underneath. See the 3 EMA crossing underneath the 8 EMA. So I call it a cross. So that's a bearish cross because we came from up high to down low. So that's a bearish cross. If we go from down low up over to a high, all right, that would be a bullish cross. So this is a bearish cross because we're now underneath the 8 EMA, lower high, lower low, closing underneath the bearish cross, but over the rising 17 EMA. That's Diamond Dow. Nothing broken. Remember, they would have to take out, this is the first low below the 17. Actually, these all go together. So they'd have to take out this low right here in order to create the downtrend, all right? That's the first one. Unless, of course, they make, a higher low here and then produce a lower high, and then they come back up and take out that low, all right? That's the other way that they can do it. Right now, still in an uptrend, top of quadrant 4. I'll pan out. Here's the April low. Okay, top of quadrant 4, that's bullish, all right? And still in an uptrend. And just like the others, it's just not moving up. Okay, it's kind of just, it's a pullback in a daily uptrend right there. And Diamond Dow weekly, bullish and in an uptrend monthly. Still bullish, still in an uptrend, okay? Let's take a look at the last one, FNGU. Okay, here's FNGU. Let's hit the daily chart. All right, we watched this one, all right? This, and I think Tex watches MAGS, that's the Magnificent 7. This is 10 of some of the most heavily weighted securities in the QQQ and SPY, meaning they have a lot of pull, a lot of weight inside it, and when these 10 move as a pack, they can drag those two indexes or indices, all right along with whatever direction they're heading in. So if they're selling off, they can drag it down. If they're rising up to make new highs, they can drag it up, okay? So FNGU, lower high, lower low, no surprise there. Closing just like the other one, underneath the bearish cross. See the 3 crossing under there. Under the bearish cross and under, see the rising 17 EMA, okay? Now notice FNGU, remember, you guys know how I like when price holds the higher ground, okay? Notice we're up here 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're giving it up, all right? So that's a show of strength when you can hold the higher ground. Notice they're kind of losing it, showing some weakness here. Again, we've got a bearish gap down, not filled by the bulls. Okay, another clue there. Got a little mini tweezer top or double top. Here's a high. There's an all-time high right there. Okay, double top, and now we're digging out, a pullback right now in FNGU. Okay, still in an uptrend. We haven't broken anything yet. All right, on the daily time frame, but on the 2-hour, you can see clearly you're in a downtrend right there. On the daily time frame, we're still up in quadrant 4, so we're still bullish, all right, and still in an uptrend that's not moving up. Okay, so we needed to see consolidation remain over consolidation. So let's look at the minor support right there, okay? So that would be, see the peaks in this consolidation right through here. I'll box it off for you so you can take a look at that. Okay, so this would be the consolidation right through there. Okay, I'm going to just stretch it over. And you can see a pullback to the minor support. Okay, this would be the major support. When price breaks major support, it is my opinion things are really falling apart. Okay, all right. When price breaks major support, right now you can come down here and spike major support, but you need to recover from it. Okay, hitting minor support, and that's a typical move for price to pull back to minor support and then J hook off of there and make another higher high. We'll see. All right, right now showing a double top, pull back to minor support. Question is, are we going to get the bounce? We'll see later today or tomorrow if we're going to get the bounce. So there's FNGU on the daily chart. Again, still bullish, still in an uptrend like the others, just not moving up. It's just consolidating. So here you can see this would be the minor support. That's the peaks of all of the consolidation, and the major support becomes the valleys within the consolidation. And you can see clearly the consolidation between the lime green and the forest green lines is all of this price action in between. Okay, so there's FNGU. All right, let's take a look at still bullish, still in an uptrend. Okay, thank you, Alan, for sharing that. Let's take a look at gold and silver. All right, so here's gold in the buy box once more. They came into it earlier, popped out, hit the ADMA, coming back, looking for a double bottom to materialize here on this anchored VWAP and inside the buy box. And maybe a pop through this ADMA. We'll see what happens. Yesterday's price action, lower high, lower low, closing underneath a bearish trap, underneath a flat 17 EMA in the buy box just over that. That's not an all-time high anchored VWAP. That's a prior low anchored VWAP right there of an important number. That was like just before the breakout. So need to hold this anchored VWAP right here. We'll see what happens. There's gold. Still, you can see in the middle of quadrant 4. So that's still bullish. Now, technically, if you want to call these two candles a peak, and then we made a lower low, okay, and that makes this a lower high. We're in a downtrend. To me, it all kind of goes together. It all depends on how you look at it. Downtrend, uptrend, it's just a label. So technically, you got a 2-candle peak, and then we made a lower low, so that puts us in a downtrend right there for gold. Okay, for me, it's a long ways back to the first one that goes below the 17, which is way down here. You can see there's the breakout period for that anchored VWAP. You can see I set it right on that low. So there's gold on the daily time frame. In a daily downtrend, technically, all right. It looks more like a bull flag to me, up and over to the right. But anyways, in a bear flag from the perspective of the high down to the low right now. All right, so we'll see what happens with gold. This may be setting up a measured move, okay, down to this anchored VWAP. We'll see. That's what it's kind of spelling out, unless, of course, they can hold the double bottom and bounce from here. We'll see what happens. Market's getting some juice here. We may have a chance of making some higher highs. We'll see what happens. I'm looking at some juice going on. Somebody pouring on the spinach and the red meat. Okay. I see futures up to 6,800. All right, so there's gold. Let's take a look at silver. All right, silver, lower high, lower low. No surprise there, right? Okay, closing underneath the bearish trap, underneath the flat 17. Silver, again, that would be a 1 candle. It doesn't qualify for me, but, you know, a downtrend. To me, it's still an uptrend. It's just a pullback in the uptrend. All right, bottom of quadrant 4. So that's still bullish. And in a pullback, remember, this was a long time. All we did was just pop higher, pop higher, pop higher, pop higher, okay? This is a normal pullback right here, okay? So, and you can see we just barely, I don't even think that goes up over the 17, so if it doesn't go up over the 17, it doesn't qualify. Now that one goes up over the 17, but we have not made a lower low. So for me, on this one is still in an uptrend and still in a pullback, okay? So this is a pullback in our daily uptrend. So this silver, that's bullish, all right, up there, bottom of quadrant 4, and technically in an uptrend that's not moving up, okay? That's the facts. It's the way it is. All right, so here's that low. If you want to see the low, this is where everything commenced right there from this 2022 low, and we meandered all the way up there to this high, okay? Made new all-time highs in silver. All right, let's take a look at UNG right here, UNG. All right, here's UNG. Got a high, okay? You got a low, got a higher low, and a higher high. So that makes us in an uptrend, okay? But we're in bottom of quadrant 1, so that's bearish down there. We're in an uptrend, but we're still down here in quadrant 1. That's still bearish. Now, look at the past price action. See this? They go up, they give it up, they go up, give it up, go up, give it up. I mean, this thing cannot hold the higher ground, okay? That's what I'm looking for. If they can get up and start holding the higher ground for like more than 4 candles, you see, all it takes is 2 candles and they get scared and run. All right, so like to see at least a hold of 4 candles. All right, right now they're just moving up and they're making a higher highs, but still bearish to me and still not ready till I see them begin to hold higher ground for once. That's what I'm looking for in order for me to get interested. I do like that uptrend, but I just don't like the fact that they're unable to hold higher ground. That's great for a scalp, great for a little swing trade, but for an investment or a long-term hold, not ready yet on UNG, okay? A little swing trade, yeah, you can do that from there. All right, so there's UNG on the daily chart. Again, in an uptrend, but still at the bottom of quadrant 1, in the middle of top of quadrant 1. So that's bearish, but in an uptrend right there. So we just did USO, right? We did USO, not yet. Okay, here it comes. USO got a high. They made a higher high, so you can just barely see it. There's a little wick that pops up over the 17 there. They made a higher high. That places them technically in an uptrend. But if you look, ever since they made and qualified for the uptrend, okay, they're not moving up. They are moving to the right, and they are holding the higher ground from the perspective of this low. From the perspective of everything excluding this low, we're just still flagging over to the right. So still neutral here. Want to see it move up here in this vicinity and hold the higher ground. This is nice, but just still not enough, okay? All right, I want to see it up here holding higher ground, okay? A little bit higher. So it's not in the bottom third, not in the upper third, so it's not bullish. This would be bullish in the upper third, bearish in the lower third. So they got bearish, you can see, for 4 candles, and then they took off. They got scared and run. Again, not in the lower third, so not bearish. All right, let's take a look at our technicals, T2122. Pay attention here, because notice that the breadth and the market participation seems to increase, or has been increasing, okay, on the moves down. On the moves up, we lose participation. On the moves going higher. So that's telling you a little bit of the consensus is the market thinks the top is in. All right, we'll see what happens, but that's what I'm looking at according to market breadth. And these are the numbers right there. I'm just seeing what I see. And when the market moves down, notice the participation increases right there. Okay, on T2122, we spent the day inside the sell zone. We're now in a bear flag. We may find ourselves in the oversold zone today. We may find ourselves in the chop zone based on a little bit of that pre-market action. We'll see what happens. I'm kind of expecting more sell zone, really, right here. Maybe a visit here or a visit there, but I think we end up the day in the sell zone. We'll see what happens. That's T2122 bear flag. Nothing bullish happening yet, okay? T2123. Got a little downtrend going on there, okay? So see, we got some daylight underneath this low, okay? And notice that low hit some of the minor support over there, okay? This is the all-time high. From the perspective of the all-time high to yesterday's price action, excuse me there, okay? Notice we're at the bottom of quadrant 1, so that's bearish from the perspective of the 15-minute chart. Okay, all-time high to the pullback low, and we made a lower low. So we're in a downtrend on the 15-minute chart, and we're bearish at the bottom, very bottom of quadrant 1, and we're in downtrends because we keep making lower lows. And of course, you can see on T2123, a lot of gaps down that aren't getting filled by the bulls. Here's one right there. Here's another one not getting filled by the bulls. There's another one. And then we had one again yesterday. Bulls just not engaged right now. I don't know if they went to sleep or what's going on. But obviously not engaged. We keep making lower lows on T2123. Remember that monitors without weights, without any weighted, everything in the NYSE. Okay, so that's a lot of products. Okay, so overall, we're having a pullback from those all-time highs. Hopefully, we find a double bottom here today. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe this lower high, we dig out a lower low. We'll see what happens. T2123, 15-minute chart. There's a high, there's a lower high. Well, there's a low, there's a lower low. And obviously you can see daylight between this low and this low. So we're making an even lower low. Again, we're in a downtrend on the 3-bar chart. And just like the 15, we find ourselves underneath the 200 SMA on both the 15 and the 3-bar chart. Not my favorite place to be unless I'm a bear. Okay, so that's what we're looking at now. We need to break this downtrend line. All right, need to break that. We'll see what happens. From the bigger perspective, from the pullback low to the all-time high, we're still up here in quadrant 4. So still slightly bullish on the daily time frame, on the 2-hour and the 15, still showing some bearish activity and bearish culture, being since they're in this pullback low in the bottom of quadrant 1. So they need to break some trends here, okay? On the smaller time frames, start getting this thing back up there and test those highs one more time. FNGU, okay? FNGU was holding the higher ground, and like I said earlier, and they're losing it. See how they're giving it up. They're bouncing on minor support right here. Remember I said that earlier. Okay, on the 15-minute chart, not including today's price action in the pre-market, post-market, in a downtrend on the 15-minute chart. Again, under the 200 SMA. Again, not my favorite place to be unless I'm a bear. Okay, you get the 3-day, 4-day hold, and now they're giving it up. They're bouncing back on the minor support. We'll see if minor support can provide us with that red rubber school ball bounce to get us back up over the 200 SMA. We'll see. We're going to need at least a 10-minute uptrend to make that happen. I can see look like one's trying to, they're trying to build one out right now. How far it goes. If they get going hard and fast, that might not be good, unless of course they can take it all the way up over the 200, pull back, and J-hook off the top of it. Other than that, I don't want them to go hard and fast into the 200 because they may bounce away. I'd rather see them melt up into it. That way they can transition right over it. Okay, so there's FNGU. So it's all in the nature of the price action. All right, if it goes up hard and fast, you get that red rubber school ball bounce. But okay, if you melt up into it, it's like hitting a speed bump in the school zone. Okay, you hit it doing 50 miles an hour, take out your front end, right? But if you just coast right over it, you can negotiate the speed bump very, very easily, and then keep going on to make more, to travel more. All right, so there's FNGU. Let's take a look at the economic package, and then we're going to wrap this up. Okay, economic package. Here's the dollar. Okay, notice the dollar putting in. We got a low. Put in a higher low right there. See that pullback low, and then we've got up here. We've got a high, and we make a higher high, and then we make, oh look, again another higher low. Oh look, again another higher high. So we're in an uptrend, okay? But from the bigger perspective, okay, we're still in the bear flag, okay? So if I get the drawing tools out here, so from here down, that was cool. And you can see a move over to the right. I'm just going to go right through the center. I mean, I could easily box this off. And you can see this would be our bear flag right there. Okay, but you can see we're still in that bear flag. All right, so from the bigger perspective, we're still underneath the 200 SMA. Trying to negotiate the 200. You can see right now, this is the falling 200. We'll see, and notice the nature of the price action. They're not making any big days into it. Okay, see how the big days come? They have to come all the way through, and they pull back, and then they drop. Okay, so if they just kind of melt through it, which looks like what they're doing, okay, they could melt right up on a higher. So we'll see what happens here if they continue with this melting up. Okay. Quick look at SPY and Qs. Yes, I will. Let me just finish this real quick, and we're going to hit the game plan, and then we're going to talk about how to trade them. Max Pain for today. Let me rush through this. 683 is Max Pain for SPY calls and puts that expired today. 1.75, so 1 3/4 puts to each call that expires today. Economic calendar we've got for today is Wednesday. ADP employment report came out at 8:15. That was probably what was shared and what juiced the market for a minute. Treasury refunding announcement. PMI composite final. My eyes are itching. Just a second here. PMI composite final 945. ISM services index 10 o'clock today. Petroleum report at 10. The main event this week is the employment situation at 8:30 on Friday. Okay, that's a market mover. Jobless claims come out tomorrow at 8:30. Productivity and cost 8:30. Wholesale inventories 10 o'clock. Gas report at 10:30. All right, so the main event's going to be Friday. You might want to be hedged by Friday because that happens in the morning before you can adjust any options. And that's at 8:30 in the morning on Friday. That'll be a market mover right there. Okay. Earnings report. I think AMD reported last night. Okay, so today we're going to have a lot of familiar names. All right. Nothing that's going to be a market mover, but they'll definitely help out their sectors. All right, so today for the big headliners is going to be Novo Nordisk, 219 billion, 213 billion. AppLovin, McDonald's going to report 211 all this morning. AppLovin's going to report tonight. Qualcomm 194 billion, AM Holdings 178 billion. My eyes are still. Robinhood's going to report tonight, 129 billion. DoorDash, 103 billion. McKesson, 104 billion. Thursday, again, nothing here is going to move the markets, but they definitely will help out their sectors. AstraZeneca, 255 billion. ConocoPhillips, 109 billion. Again, more familiar names, but not really market movers. Friday, Constellation Energy, 113 billion. KKR, 105 billion, and Enbridge, 101 billion right there. Duke Energy. You can see a lot of familiar names. Nothing here that's going to be a real market mover. AMD was probably the one that was most in the driver's seat, all right, because it was AI, and that was 421 billion. I don't know how they did last night, but anyways, AMD would have been the one that could possibly be a catalyst for an up move or a down move for today. All right, so that's the earnings. We did the economic calendar. We visited the dollar, which I showed you is in an uptrend, but in a big bear flag. And we did Max Payne. All right, let's take a look at. Let's go back over here, and I'm looking for my chart, the one that I like to use. There they are. All right. Let's start off with SPY. And let's get the game plan out. Okay? So here we are with the game plan. SPY, game plan for today. Let's go with a 30-minute chart. See if we can get that going. All right. Pivot 677. Okay, above it I'm a bull, below it I'm a bear. All right, on SPY. Green erases red entry. Notice the downtrend line. Okay, make sure you got that on your chart. It will be a four-time hit of the downtrend line. We may pass through. Green erases red entry up over 679.70. Remember, the ceiling is projected according to AI around 683. Okay, just make a note of that. Pivot 677, red erases green, underneath 674.50. All right, so red erases green underneath that. We'll see what happens. I like on both SPY and QQQ 2 days and 9 days till expiration. Friday options on the multiple of 5. I like them for the open interest. I'm not opposed to trading 0 DTEs or 1 DTEs. Okay, I trade strikes that are $2 to $15 out of the money, and I trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I trade 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. I'm going to say it like I say it all the time. If a 10-minute uptrend were to manifest down here long before the green erases red entry, okay, I'm not opposed to trading it as long as it breaks the 10-minute bullish rubber band candle. I trade 10-minute downtrends, okay, long before it gets to the red erases green entry from up here over the green line or before the pivot or before the red line. Okay, I'm not opposed to trading them, but I just like to see them break the 10-minute downtrend or the bearish 10-minute rubber band candle, okay? So if they're up here and VWAP happens to be up here and they break the 10-minute bearish rubber band candle, I'm not opposed to trading that downtrend to the downside. Now, one more caveat, okay? We're in on the bigger time frames, the daily, the weekly, the monthly. They're still bullish and they're still in uptrends, okay? So please recognize that you may be trading a downtrend, but you are trading the bigger perspective here. They are still bullish, okay? And I'm not a big fan of going counter trend, okay? So I tend to be picky about which downtrends I trade, all right? So on both SPY and QQQ, again, I like the 2 days and the 9 days till expiration. Friday options on the multiple of 5, specifically for the open interest, all right, and the liquidity, all right? So you get that. Maybe we can start filling some bullish gaps, some bearish gaps. That would be a nice thing, okay? We'll see if we can start filling some bearish gaps. That would be huge. At least get up there and test one of them, all right? We'll see what happens today. There's SPY. Take a look at QQQ. Game plan for QQQ. Let me move this over, pull this down. QQQ pivot, 622.90. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Red erases green. Okay, underneath, 618.50. Same thing goes. If I get a 10-minute downtrend that happens to manifest up here, originate up here, or up here, long before it gets to the red erases green, I'm not opposed to trading it, but I do like to see it break that 10-minute bearish rubber band candle. Okay, I got green erases red up here over 626.90. All right, and there's our game plan for this morning. Let's pull up the 5-minute chart. And let me look where we are. Let me see the range from last night. So we're going to mark off the range. Here's the range so far is right here and right here. Okay, it's kind of a big range. It's about $4 wide. I'd be more likely, all right, if I break out of this range, all right, I would be like to see a continuation. Currently we have a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP with looks like no signs of exhaustion yet. All right, I would be inclined to trade this 10-minute uptrend over VWAP right there. That would be, and I would want to participate by jumping in or entering on a green candle that is not a sword. It's got more. I don't want it to have more wick than body and tail. This goes for SPY as well, okay? Because they're both doing 10-minute uptrends. I would not want to see it have a green candle that has more wick than body and tail, because that shows me bearish control. I'm not interested in entering on any red candles, and I'm not interested in entering on any dojis or spinning tops, because that shows me that bulls and bears agree on price, and the options that I trade tend to melt as soon as I purchase them. So as if I don't get any movement, they just tend to decay right out of the box. Okay, it's like driving off the lot with a brand new car. You know how it loses value right away? Well, it's the same thing if you've got dojis and spinning tops. Okay, they just begin to start losing value as soon as you own them. All right, so you need momentum to keep them going. All right, so that you can make some profits. So that goes for QQQ and SPY. Looking for a continuation of the current 10-minute uptrend. All right, that's what I'll be looking for. All right, and I will be looking to enter again on a green candle. All right, looking for a possible trend day to the upside. We'll see. All right, again, a green candle, nothing with more wick than body and tail combined. Okay, that's the plan for this morning. Okay, so there's QQQ. Here's SPY doing the same thing. Okay. All right, good morning. What is max pain? 683. 683 is max pain. And you can find it, Alexandria, right here. Okay. So you just so you know, in the future, all the way at the top, right there, okay, max pain. Oh, right here, max pain, right there, 683. Okay. Notice I share the game plan, QQQ and SPY, so you have them. And max pain's right there. Okay. In case I don't answer you fast enough, right? Okay. And what does it mean? Supposedly it would be a number that market makers would target in order to maximize profits for their clients. Okay. So sometimes they will target that in order to maximize profits. Not all the time. Doesn't mean that they're going to do it all the time. Sometimes it's sometimes more beneficial to do a put squeeze. Okay, so, but that's what it is. All right, just so you understand. Thanks, Ed, for helping her out there. All right, that's it. I'm going to take a break. Try to make it back here in 20 minutes, and we'll record the morning trading. And by the way, all my morning trades, or actually the whole day of trading, can be found up here. Hit the hamburger next to the people. Okay, come down to archives, and there's recording. And you can see this is my recording from yesterday. This is all of us trading the open, and this is about 371 minutes long. Okay, so it's probably all day. Okay, so the good part is the good stuff is all before noon. Okay, the rest of the day, not so much. Okay, so all the good stuff happens before noon. Anyways, okay. Again, I encourage traders, all right, to snatch your profits and your daily goals in the morning hours, and then put them away and paper trade the afternoons. Don't give up those profits back to the market. Okay, snatch your profits, stick them in your account, and then go paper trade the afternoon. All right, I encourage that a lot. See a lot of traders lose everything that they gained and more sometimes trying to trade the afternoon. Okay, so just something to be aware of. All right, so see you guys in about 20 minutes, hopefully 20 minutes.